Hello everyone and a very warm welcome. My name's Amanda Woodfine, Chief Executive at Vegetarian for Life, and I'm delighted to open this important webinar on nutrition and hydration for older vegans and vegetarians receiving care. Now, we're seeing a major shift in the care sector. Once thought perhaps to be a lifestyle choice of younger generations, plant-based diets are becoming more common among older adults. And we recently commissioned Swansea University's OmniPlant research group. Their research showed that the number of vegans and vegetarians living in UK care homes is set to more than double by 2031. Now, this means there are going to be thousands more people relying on care homes to meet not only their nutritional needs, but also their ethical choices. And this growing demand brings with it an important responsibility. Both the Equality Act and the Mental Capacity Act reinforce the need to respect dietary preferences, even when someone's ability to express themselves declines. But beyond the legal obligations, of course, this is about dignity, respect, and about quality of life. And this is why today's webinar is so valuable. Our speakers will explore key aspects of nutrition and hydration for older vegans and vegetarians, from practical cookery demonstrations to insights on nutrition and on fortified foods. We really hope that you'll leave with new knowledge, inspiration, and confidence to support any plant-based residents that you may have in your care. So let's get started, and please do post any questions that you may have in the comments section below. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Halim Moravec, and I'm a registered nutritional scientist and educator. I'm also a Greater Manchester system changer and a Design Council expert design for the planet. I'm also a National Teaching Fellow of Advanced HE of 2018, and I'm an artist, and I do a series of work called Political Plates. I've been asked by Vegetarian for Life to create a very short video regarding the science behind gut health, mental well-being, and plant-based diets for the Nutrition and Hydration Week 2025. So mental health, why is it so important? The World Health Organization emphasizes the integral role of mental health in overall well-being. Without mental health, there is no health. And this is the importance of mental health in achieving a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being. It's that holistic element that we are looking at. And it's so important that we don't just look at physical health, but also mental health. The gut. It is about 7-meter tube. The gut is home to about 100 million neurons, and it produces about 90% of our body's serotonin. The gut microbiome of an adult human has over about 10 trillion bacteria that support digestion, immunity, and mental well-being. And there is this thing called gut-brain axis that connects the digestive system with mood, stress, and cognitive function of the brain. And a well-planned plant-based diet can improve gut health, but balance and variety and moderation is actually the key to this. Why is gut health so important? Because it affects our immunity, our immune system. It affects our sleep. It helps our digestion. It helps our mental health, and it helps our skin, and probably so many other things. This is a fascinating area of research. There's been some research carried out in this area, but there is so much more that is happening at the moment, and there's so much more that we need to be doing. Gut microbiome, about one third of our gut microbiome is common to most people, while about two-thirds are specific to each one of us. And the community of bacteria in the intestine is a little bit like an individual identity card. The whole bacteria put together weighs around about 2 kilograms, approximately around 2 kilograms. They're living organisms living inside our gut. And there is this connection between our gut and our brain. Is it the brain that supports the gut or the gut supporting the brain? I think it's the puppet master seems to be the gut microbiota, and all the interactions that happen in the brain are somehow are linked to our gut bacteria, and the ecosystem that is in our gut. So, why is it so important to focus on plant-based diets? Because the gut microbiome is a bit like a diverse ecosystem. Vegans and vegetarians generally have higher gut microbial diversity because of the type of foods that they consume, and it all depends on what kind of foods they are consuming. Are they consuming a wide variety of different color foods, like rainbow diets? Are they having vegetables, fruits, legumes, nuts, and seeds and herbs, which obviously all benefit health? So again, balance is the key here. And we want to move away from beige diets and boring diets and diets that actually have no variety. So some foods that support gut health are fiber, for example, reduces inflammation, promotes healthy microbiota. Fermented foods, there's so many, kind of like exciting cultural heritage food that is fermented, and it really does help microbial diversity, reduces symptoms of depression. Omega-3 fatty acids linked to lower rates of depression in older adults. There's been some fascinating research by Felice Jacka, and who is probably the gold standard of research in this area. And ultra processed food and high sugar diets. If we can find out what is good for our gut, what is so not so good for our gut microbiota, is high sugar diets. Impact inflammation and impair gut brain communication. And of course, there's so much research going on with regards to ultra processed food. There is some research suggesting that there is an association with cognitive decline and poor mental health outcomes. Food choice is so important when you look at the wide varieties of colorful fruit and vegetables that are, open to us. There's so many different kinds of pulses, legumes, different kinds of fruit and vegetables, root vegetables, herbs, and actually cultural diets with lots of pickles, lots of fermented food. So it's about that kind of like the holistic food choices that we make and the variety, and each day trying to modify the type of food that goes on our diet. But even, with very little cost, we can still have a plant-based diet that is fantastic for our gut health, and as a result, really good for our mental health. So different colored vegetables and fruits, five different veg, five different fruits. They're kind of like putting just sort of like rainbow on your plate. And actually not just focusing on one type of apples. We have more than 300 heritage apples in United Kingdom. So we do need to maybe stretch a little bit further beyond our supermarket and greengrocers to look at the different kinds of fruit and vegetables that are obviously local to United Kingdom, but also fantastic at helping our gut bacteria, because the more variety we add to our gut bacteria, the more the microbiota love it and they thrive on it, because of that bacterial diversity. Just like the world of people, human diversity, we do need bacterial diversity, and different ingredients, different sources of food, different fermented food, pickles, they will add that level of bacterial diversity that will support our mental health. Mental health and gut, 90% of our serotonin is produced in the gut. So there's no doubt that there is, kind of like that level of connection between our, kind of how happy we are, and possibly, kind of like the sort of the type of foods that we are consuming. Fiber fermentation creates short chain fatty acids that could help reduce the stress and anxiety, and an imbalanced gut can lead to inflammation, affecting mood and brain function. So some key points to take away is that foods that are rich in fiber are obviously really important for, kind of like feeding the beneficial gut bacteria. Prebiotics found in garlic, onions, bananas, leeks, and asparagus. Fermented food, as we talked about, these are natural probiotics from kimchi, sauerkraut, miso, kombucha, and polyphenols, antioxidants in berries, green tea, dark chocolate that support gut health. And also, of course, healthy fats, omega-3 fatty acids from flaxseed, walnuts, chia seeds could really help reduction of inflammation. Some key points to remember is that just because something says vegan does not mean that it is not processed. Sometimes vegan and vegetarian foods with so many ingredients on the label could mean that they're highly processed. So prioritize whole unprocessed plant foods. Sometimes maybe people don't have enough variety. So it's really important to focus on the variety, even if it's just about changing one fruit to another or one vegetable for another. And legumes and whole grains and maybe even cheaper options to be added to the diet. Low B12 and omega-3 intake sometimes is an issue in vegan and vegetarian diets. And if it doesn't come from the diet, then supplementation is an option. And including omega-3 rich plant foods is always a really good idea. Lifestyle factors and the gut is also really important. We can't just focus on one area, which is just nutrition, because nutrition works with the rest of the elements of health in our kind of lifestyle. And managing stress, meditation, yoga, outdoor time support gut balance. Regular exercise, movement promotes gut microbial diversity. Hydration, water and herbal teas for digestion, and sleep, not forgetting sleep. Poor sleep can negatively affect gut bacteria. So as a final point is the balance between the gut microbiota and the kind of like brain activity, and how nutrition, lifestyle factors, sleep, relaxation, exercise, and everything else can actually really create sort of like a mental health that really means that everything is in balance. So variety, moderation, balance, these are the key points that we need to really focus for a sort of like brain gut health and an overall, kind of health based on plant-based diets. Thank you very much for listening. I'm really grateful for this opportunity.
Hi, welcome to my kitchen. My name is Claire. I'm the roving chef for Scotland at Bee for Life. Today I'm going to be making some hydration and fortified protein jelly pots. So when you get older, it can be a little bit difficult to keep hydrated for a variety of reasons, including things like dementia, certain medications, particularly if you've had an infection or perhaps you've been under the weather or sick. Maintaining hydration levels is particularly important. So when you're catering for vegetarians and vegans, it's worth bearing in mind that most standard jellies will contain gelatin, so they won't be suitable for vegetarians and vegans. Today I'm doing a plant-based jelly that is also fortified with protein. Most large protein suppliers now do clear protein powders that are suitable for vegetarians and vegans, and there's quite a few high quality brands available in the market. So I'm going to add some fruits to these to make it a really enticing dessert, but you can also make smaller pots that make them ideal for snacking throughout the day to keep hydration levels up. So these are low in sugar, so you could add additional sugars and natural sweeteners to these if you required. You could also add whipped cream. You could use these as a base for things like trifles, It also works really, really well if you wanted to stir through some chia seeds for some extra nutrition. So I mentioned at the start there that some people are maybe recovering from an infection, or if they have been actually sick and been really, really under the weather, you can also fortify these jellies with electrolytes. So it's a really good base recipe. So as I said, I'm starting off with some plant-based jelly. Most of these are available in larger supermarkets if you're only catering for a few vegetarians and vegans. If you're making these standard across your menu, most larger food suppliers will actually carry vegetarian and vegan plant-based jellies. So it's worthwhile noting that a plant-based jelly will actually set quicker than a normal gelatin jelly, so you do have to actually work quite fast with these. So starting off with, follow your packet instructions. So today I'm using one that is pre-flavoured. So we add these to our jug. So as I said, most proteins will be whey based, so do make sure that you are buying one that is suitable for vegetarians and vegans. The quantity that you use will vary from brand to brand, but generally a few spoonfuls works really well in this recipe. So follow your pack instructions for the amount of hot water that is required. Pouring that in. So it's super simple. You've just got that addition of the clear protein going in. So as well as giving that liquid hydration, this is going to work really, really well. So perhaps you've got residents or clients that are plant-based and have dementia. You may find that they forget to drink, or it may be a case that they actually can communicate their desire for thirst. Also, they may become a little bit confused if they are dehydrated. So often these at meal times and as snacks throughout the day, and because they've got that natural sweetness from the fruit, it means that you've got a flavour profile that most dementia patients will actually really find that beneficial and a nice inclusion in their diet. So particularly when you have dementia, you tend to find that it is more sweet flavours that people will enjoy and more likely to go back for. So I've got a nice combination of fruit here, so it's worthwhile noting that for most jellies, things like kiwi fruit and papaya and pineapple will actually stop at jelly setting and break down the protein. So make sure that you are using things like fruits of the forest. So I've got some nice fresh Scottish raspberries today. So make sure that when you are using raspberries that I would recommend cutting them in half, and it just reduces any choke hazards. I've also got some nice blueberries. So you can make a whole selection of fruits to go through. These obviously strawberries is nice, cherries is nice, but I would cut them in half or into smaller pieces. So when you're portioning it out into glasses, do make sure that your glasses are heat stable. Also, if you don't have any heat stable glasses, what you can do is allow your jelly to cool before you pour it into the glass, but you do have to work quite fast with a vegetarian based jelly. So you can really experiment with the fruits. If you do them as the addition of the fruit whilst the jelly is still warm, you may find that it rises to the surface. If you don't want it rising to the surface, you can wait till your jelly cools, and that way the fruit will start to catch in the jelly and it'll be evenly distributed. So it just depends what works best in your kitchen. So as I say, the good thing about the plant-based jellies is that they do set very, very quickly. So again, if you were making them in the morning for evening service, it's really good. You don't actually need to set them overnight. And then we'll just go ahead and top up. So just pour that over. So as I said, you can do small portions as well. You can do it with the fruit or without the fruit. It's completely up to yourself. So it's a really nice simple recipe to do. So if you don't have access to the vegetarian and plant-based jellies, you may be able to get the veggie gel, which is an agar-agar based product. If you are using these type of sachets, you will actually have to bring the product to a boil on the stove. If you are doing that, a word of caution for when you add the protein might actually foam up, so do that off the heat, stir that in, and then gradually stirring that through just to make sure that it doesn't boil over. But you can see how quick and simple this is. You've got your fortification being done as well as giving hydration. And then if you were doing further fortification with electrolytes, you can see that it's such a simple recipe, and you're meeting all your targets for hydration as well as fortification. So as I say, the recipe that I've used there is a low sugar product. There's only 20 calories per serving. So of course, if calories was your concern, you could make it with fruit juice to get that extra calories through natural sweetness. So here's ones that I prepared earlier. So you can see you still get that lovely clear jelly, and the fruit has risen to the top because I have made these whilst they were hot. But if you preferred that to be distributed through, as I mentioned, just put your jelly to one side, let it cool down, and then you can add the fruits through at a later time. So thank you so much for joining me in my kitchen today. It's been a pleasure to show you these super simple recipe. So thanks again.
Hi there, I'm Ollie from V for Life, and today I want to talk to you a little bit about fortification. So you might be familiar with fortification in care environments. However, this often uses milk derivatives and whey, things like that, which is all fine unless you're vegan. So if you're vegan, there's a few products out there that we can use. I'm going to show you some today, and also I'm going to show you some recipes how to incorporate some of these products as well. It's things like vegan milks, soy milk here, which is great, it's full of protein, coconut milk, nut milks. There's also vegan spreads and creams and things like that, which you can just use all those in the same way you'd use a dairy product. Things like tofu, this is a silken tofu, and you get different firmnesses of tofu. These are really good, particularly the silken one that can be incorporated in shakes and stews. It can be made into flans, vegan cheesecakes, desserts, loads of stuff like that. I'm going to show you a great recipe coming up. Nuts and nut butter, really calorific, great for fortification. Shakes, again, mixing into things, curries, all sorts. Really, really good product. These are cashew nuts as well. Cashew nuts are particularly good. They can be ground into a powder. You can make different cookies, bakes, all sorts with them. A really, really good thing to use. I've also got chickpea flour here, which can be used for pancakes, for batters. It's particularly high in protein, so it makes it great for fortification. It can also be used in flans and things like that. Also have some vegan protein powders. I've got a few here. I'm a big fan of my protein powders. I've got a hemp protein powder here. I've got a pea protein powder and a mixed protein powder here. It's made of various different things, pumpkin seeds and all sorts. These are excellent and super versatile. They often flavourless, the plain ones like that, so they can be incorporated into stocks, stews, casseroles, all sorts of shakes, and you're not even really going to taste it, but they can really up the protein and vitamin content of your meals. So those are just a few ideas. Here's a few recipes, how to use them. Let's go. So this is a great breakfast, brunch or lunch idea. It's scrambled tofu. We need some oil for frying, half a chopped onion, crushed garlic, tablespoon of the gram flour we just talked about, 120 milliliters of soya cream, block of tofu, some vegetables of your choice. I chose mushrooms here, some dried herbs, some turmeric, teaspoon of Dijon mustard, and salt and pepper to taste. So we're going to heat a frying pan, add in the oil, and then pop in the chopped onion. We're going to fry this for a couple of minutes until it softens, goes a little bit translucent. Pop in the garlic and pop in the mushrooms. Give it a good stir and then fry this for a few minutes. Now we add the gram flour, stir that in, and add the soy cream as well. Mix it all in, make sure there's no lumps, and we're going to bubble that away for a few minutes until it thickens. Add the tofu, stir that in, and add the mustard. Try not to get it stuck on the back of the spatula. Add the turmeric, add the mixed herbs, and stir that all in. Leave that for a few minutes, and it's going to thicken, season, and then serve it on some vegan buttered toast. Yummy. So staying hydrated is also really important. We can do this with hot drinks regularly throughout the day, and we can also add things like fortified milkshakes. Try this delicious banana peanut butter chocolatey milkshake where we need 500 milliliters of soy milk, a splash of maple syrup, a banana, a tablespoon of peanut butter, and a tablespoon of cocoa powder. Add all the ingredients again to a blender. This is super simple. The soy milk in there and the dash of maple syrup, and then put the lid on and we just blend it all up, and it makes a lovely creamy thick milkshake. Absolutely delicious.
Hello, I'm Kim Stringer, Vegetarian for Life's Director in Scotland and a Talking Mats licensed trainer. I'm going to talk about the role talking mats can play in supporting nutrition and hydration. Talking mats are a way of having a conversation with somebody that allows people to say what they feel in a visual way. They can be especially useful if someone has dementia or a brain injury. We worked with the Talking Mats team in Stirling to develop our own Talking Mats resource, especially for the care of vegetarians and vegans. And this came out of a need to enable vegetarians and vegans who might have dementia to be able to express their wishes and desires in relation to their diet. We heard stories that sometimes vegetarians or vegans living with dementia seem to be asking for meat, and caregivers aren't necessarily sure how best to respond to that. It can be unclear whether the person really wants meat, or if they've perhaps mistaken a dish for a vegetarian or a vegan one. We thought that talking mats could help in instances like this, to allow people to express their wishes and help caregivers to understand what's important to the person. I'll talk a bit about what talking mats are and how they work, and then I'll tell you a bit about our resource. Talking Mats is a social enterprise founded by speech and language therapists. The Talking Mats vision is to improve the lives of people with communication difficulties by increasing their capacity to communicate effectively about things that matter to them. A talking mat is a visual communication tool, a listening tool, a thinking tool, and a reflection tool, and it provides a space to have a conversation and supports decision making. It uses visual images, and visuals engage a different part of the brain and help process information more quickly. Talking Mats is a simple tool, but careful planning is needed for it to be effective. We refer to the two people having a mat conversation as the thinker, the person whose views are being expressed, and the listener, who is facilitating the conversation. The thinker and the listener sit side by side with a mat in front of the thinker. The role of the listener is to ask open questions, not closed questions. For example, you might say, "How do you feel about lunch?" rather than, "Did you enjoy lunch?" It's important not to lead the thinker by saying things such as, "You like this, don't you?" A topic is chosen and this is placed at the bottom of the mat. On this example, it's where you live. At the top of the mat, the listener places 3 symbols that make up the top scale. For this particular mat, the top scale is happy with, so-so, not happy with. Top scales for other topics might be something like very important, quite important, not important, or like, don't mind, don't like. Each mat has a series of options, which are visual image cards. The listener would ask an open question, such as, "How do you feel about your safety?" and the thinker places this symbol where it best fits. If they're happy with something, they place it under the left, under the thumbs up symbol. If not, they'd place it on the right by the thumbs down symbol. The listener will pay attention to the thinker's body language as they place the symbol. Are they confident in their placing, or do they hesitate? It may be something to explore further. It's important to choose a top scale that matches the topic, and to be aware that different top scales elicit different responses. An example of this might be like, don't like, versus do, don't do. Someone might like going to the cinema, but for a number of reasons they might not do it. They may not like gardening, but they may do it. If this was someone's care plan, you can see the importance of the top scale for an accurate view of someone's life. At the end of the conversation, the listener summarizes the mat, and there's the opportunity for the thinker to reflect and make changes if they wish. The mat can then be photographed and can become part of a care plan. You might find you wish to do a further mat to explore some things in more depth. A mat conversation can be a great way to get to know somebody and to spend some quality time with them. We thought that talking mats could be helpful for vegetarians and vegans in care to be able to express their preferences. But there are no talking mats that address some of the areas specifically relevant to vegetarians and vegans. We therefore worked together with the Talking Mats team to develop a resource that would cover this. We have 4 topics in our Talking Mat resource, and these are eating experience, dietary choice, values, and lifestyle. The visual images are specially commissioned and have been drawn by a leading comic artist. Some of the options in the eating experience set are fairly standard, looking at whether someone is happy with their dining experience or the meals provided, for example. But some options cover subjects that may be less thought about. For example, how people feel about the smell of meat or fish, whether they like to sit with other vegetarians or vegans, whether they feel their diet is respected. The dietary choice set includes symbols that cover a variety of foods and is designed to enable people to express what they do and don't want to eat, using the top scale: want to eat, sometimes want to eat, don't want to eat. Symbols include food items such as tofu, peas, pulses, vegetarian and vegan cheese, dairy products, plant milks, vegetables, fruit and nuts, as well as eggs, meat, fish and meat alternatives. It allows the thinker to express their dietary preferences, and if they appear to have requested meat, then having a mat conversation may enable them to express if they do indeed want to eat meat or not. The last 2 topics, value and lifestyle, are more abstract, but they are important as they explore reasons why someone may be vegetarian or vegan and how they wish to live. Someone may be vegetarian or vegan because of a concern for animal welfare or care for the environment. It could be because of religion or family values, or it may be because of health or cost or other reasons, and these are covered in the values topic. If someone is vegan for animal welfare reasons, for example, it's less likely that they would now want to eat meat. The lifestyle topic covers options such as clothing, furniture, medicines, cleaning products, and cruelty-free toiletries. Vegetarians and vegans may have strong preferences around these options. Each of the topics can be used independently, or they can be used together to build a fuller picture. For talking mats to be effective, you need to adhere to the framework, and training is recommended. We offer talking mats training in full, with a particular focus on our resource, and this also allows you to access other talking mats resources. This was a very brief overview. Please do get in touch if you'd like to find out more. And you can visit our website for our resource and training package, and the Talking Mats website for more information about talking mats.